So now we're getting into the secret stash where you keep the good stuff. Today we'll take you behind the scenes and back into Tesla's early history.
The first, I can't say that because the NDA is still in effect. Nobody has the answer to these questions. No one. Because the guy's dead. Those two tops belonged to Martin Eberhard. They were hanging in his office.
Wow, I am like a kid in a candy store, geeking out hardcore right now. In one of the most candid and revealing interviews you'll ever see, with one of its earliest employees who worked directly with Elon Musk.
That whole story about him sleeping on desks is true. I saw it. We were working till 2 o'clock in the morning. He was there. Everybody that I worked with in the early days of Tesla, everybody was working 100-hour weeks. Isn't this cool? That is VIN 8 Founder Series. That original owner of that car was Larry Page. That's VIN 4 over there of all Teslas ever built. Behind
me are some of the rarest Tesla Roadsters, not to mention just Roadsters, pieces of Tesla history. We're going to be talking to Carl Medlock. He has all the stories to tell, and he's going to tell you guys like it is. Look at this. We have Missouri, Maryland, Louisiana, Georgia. Like, these are shipped from all over the country to Seattle, Washington. Hidden in a handful of facilities scattered about Seattle, Carl Medlock and his sons own the aptly named shop, one of the only Tesla Roadster repair shops in the world, housing some of the company's rarest and most important relics.
Then I started managing dealerships. In 2005, I left that, opened up a little car lot. Tesla called me and offered me a job. I didn't know who they were. So I'm Googling Tesla, literally, as the guy's talking. Hey, you want a job at Tesla? It's like, electric cars. Nobody. And I hung up on them. They called me back, and that's when the '08 economy had hit. I literally was selling out of cars because I sold cars that were $10,000 or less. I realized I was going to go out of business, and the phone rings, and it's Matt Giambruno. I ask him, hey, this is Matt from Tesla. So how about that job? So that's why I went to work at Tesla. Elon called me. I had to get approval. Asked me a bunch of questions. He asked me about the best customer service story I had.
What was it like meeting with Elon? Because he wasn't like Elon Musk, how we think of him now.
People have asked me in the past, what was it like to work for the richest person in the world? It's like, I don't know, we were broke back then. You know, we barely could make payroll. So he was just a regular guy. And one thing I know that I can say about Elon, and people get mad when I say this because it's something positive, is, you know, if we were working till 2 o'clock in the morning, he was there. I mean, that whole story about him sleeping on desks is true. I saw it. I actually took a picture of him sleeping on a desk, and then out of respect, I deleted it. Probably get money for that picture now, but yeah, he was just sleeping on an engineer's desk. He, literally in the factory when we were setting up for the Model S, he was sleeping on a desk.
We are at the Electrify Expo in Long Beach, and we are checking out the Anker F3800. You might remember a video we did with this where we charge our electric bikes and our car from these, but you can also power your entire home. The Anker F3800 is the world's most accessible home power system, catering with or without grid-tied solar systems. It's the simplest and most sustainable replacement for gas generators. With an AC output power up to 6,000 watts, it can power multiple heavy-duty appliances at the same time. And with both 120 and 240 volt outlet on board with a NEMA 1450 port where you can directly charge your EV and get up to 12 miles of range in an emergency. You can also add up to 6 battery packs to expand to over 26 kilowatt hours. They use EV grade batteries that are rated for 3,000 cycles with smart temperature controls that are built to withstand everyday use for a decade. The Anker Solix F3800 lets you manage your energy and your savings to reduce your electricity bills, and I love that it seamlessly integrates with your existing grid-tied solar, so it can automatically switch over during power outages. This is the easiest home energy storage to install. A local electrician can set it up in as fast as 1 hour. To get yours, use the code in the description below to get 28% off the F3800 and its bundle. I'll link everything you need to know down in the description below, and remember, by clicking that link, you're also helping to support this channel. All right, let's get back to the video. Do you feel like, as like a boss, he is like a nice guy to work for, or kind of a difficult?
If the people who don't like Elon, that work for Elon, are people who didn't do their jobs. So all of us who are A players, who got all of our jobs done, he was fantastic. What do you need? You know, what do you need to get this job done? And we'd tell him what we needed, and we'd get the job done, and he's like, thanks a lot. You know, he was very appreciative. Yeah. But the people who didn't do their jobs, those are the people that complain a lot. You know, the people who want to work from 8 to 4, take their 30-minute breaks. That's not what built Tesla. What built Tesla was 100-hour weeks.
Yeah.
And more. And though everybody that I worked with in the early days of Tesla, everybody was working 100-hour weeks. I would do 50 interviews a day sometimes, try to staff.
Wow. So what were you exactly hired to do then?
Whatever battery work, maintenance, repairs, whatever. We did everything. Everybody that worked at Tesla in the beginning did everything.
You had to know like the ins and out of how to like build one of these from scratch, basically.
We had direct contact with the engineers too, because nobody wanted this to fail, right? So there was no bureaucracy. There wasn't no, you got to check with this person to go to this person to go to this person. No. That guy right there, he's the guy who knows all about the battery. You need to talk to him. I managed basically from Alaska east to Calgary and Calgary to Hawaii. And what my managing philosophy was, the farther you were away from me, the more you needed to have it together. Like the guy I had in Hawaii, I said, if I ever talk to you, you're the wrong guy. So I had too many people. We were growing too fast to be
Yeah.
answering dumb questions.
And what year was that around?
2011 and 12. The first, I can't say that because the NDA is still in effect.
This has been talked about before, but how much of like the Lotus like were you guys using when you took that car? Like how did that fit into the initial Lotus?
There's about 5% of this car that's Lotus. Like the windshield is Lotus, the mirrors are Lotus, the wheels are not because the Lotus is 4-lug, these are 5-lug. It was built in the Lotus plant in Norwich, England. I was there when they were building the cars early on. But all the electronics and all the chassis and all that stuff are completely specific to Tesla.
What are the most common issues that come in with a Roadster? These cars are what, like
12 years old.
12 years old now? Yeah. So what are you seeing?
Electronics. Mainly aging on electronics. Sorry about the mess.
Yeah, no. I love seeing it. Like, you're really out here working on it. We just showed up.
This is the power electronics module, the PEM. It's like a paste.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it really is. It's like Play-Doh.
This paste ages out over time. It dries and cracks. And then these IGBTs, integrated bipolar transistors, these will touch down on this heat sink and then blow one of those up. It'll burn one of these up. So what we're seeing is the electronics are failing. These caps, these capacitors are swelling and they're going bad. Not at a really rapid rate, but you know, eventually all these electronics are going to age out. So the great thing about the Tesla engineers at the beginning was they over-designed all of this, so they're lasting all these years. Nobody could predict the future, right? But they did in the quality of the parts that they purchased. The original battery case was built in Thailand at a barbecue factory. That case, right, the black case, yeah. It was the only people that would do it for us at a cheap, low level. They built them.
What is the rarest one that you guys have right now in shop?
Probably the most famous car is that car. That is VIN 8 Founder Series. That original owner of that car was Larry Page.
Let's see some of these ones. This is like a museum here.
So that is that is Founders 8. So what we've learned is there were Founders, there are validation prototypes, that's VIN 4 over there of all Teslas ever built.
The orange one?
The orange one on the bottom there, that's VIN 4. If you look at the production birthday that's on the computer of this car was built before the validation prototypes. What I'm thinking, and it's totally speculation, I have no idea if this is true, I think that some of the higher up people that bought these cars got them well in advance of while they were still doing testing. They had already proven the cars internally, but they still had to go through the process of getting validation prototypes for the government and HTSA and all that stuff. I think this car was delivered before those cars were built.
So what makes it valuable?
What we've seen is the VINs like 200 through 400 don't bring as much. They still bring $80,000 to $100,000. But the really early VINs, signature cars, they're bringing more money. This car probably bring $250,000. We just shipped a car back to Romania, Ukraine, a couple to London. They come here from all over the world. We specialize in this car, right?
Yeah.
Right here. That is VIN 4. So up until VIN 13, they had a SFZ RE in the VIN, and VIN 14, they had a 5YJ RE, which makes it an American car. So this car was fully assembled in England.
Wow.
There's only 13 with this VIN designation like this.
How many colors did they originally make?
Probably about 13 or 14. I never
Okay.
actually.
That's 101?
That's one of one. That's VIN 408. That car is Mystic Chrome. That's the Cobra Mustang color. Ford had a patent on this color, and what you're seeing is most cars have pearl in them. This is mica the mineral. So if you walk around this car, it's every color of green, every color of purple and blue, and gold. And if you walk around that car, you're going to see, just take a quick walk.
It's like a mermaid.
Isn't that cool?
I love it.
So this is our car. We bought this from the owner.
Are people driving these ones, or are they more like garage queens?
Well, that car has 100,000 miles on it, the orange one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that car has 90 to 100,000 on it. That guy bought that car specifically because it had miles on it because he drives his cars. So over the last year or two, we've had all the engineers who have built this car originally and designed it have came here and offered their services, offered their help. We've had the guy that created supercharging for this car, which nobody knows about, was never launched. So we're trying to get the source code, authorization to use the source code to relaunch supercharging for this car.
That'd be amazing.
It's like you were asking a question earlier, what happens when we can't, where do we get parts?
Yeah.
We make most of the car.
You make it here?
No, right down the street. We have a carbon fiber shop that does. We actually build these pieces. Those parts right there are all ours. So up to about VIN 50, these went on the bottom of the door, and they were in plastic originally. And these cars have a bad habit of getting gunk up under the door. The way the body is designed, it goes in. So we remade this piece. It's all basically a necessity, right? Our parts are made when Tesla runs out. So these hoods were $7,500 from Tesla. You can see it has a carbon fiber frame right there. That means it's ours. Tesla's frames are plastic. Our parts are better than Tesla's. We made the grill, made this rear diffuser. We paid Lotus Race Team to develop this shock setup. We make all these pieces Everything you hear, you see, we make.
So has Elon come back here since you've like taken it to a whole other level and
No,
seen
but I've
any
talked
of
on the
this?
phone twice.
I wish I could hear that conversation.
Yeah, one of them, I can't disclose one of them. Just saved him a lot of money.
Okay. Any more details?
I can't.
Nothing?
That one I
okay.
can't.
Next, Carl took us to a couple of undisclosed locations where the barnyard find of the century was recently found in China. 3 brand new Tesla Roadsters discovered in a shipping container still inside their factory wrapper. This is cool.
So we just took over this building, which is why it looks like it does. So this car is one of the China cars, 104 miles. This is what the paint protection film looks like after all these years. So there's this one and there's 2 orange ones.
Okay.
And the orange ones are down in storage. So we have them here one at a time. So this car is, the paint protection film is getting removed from this car.
Yeah.
We're going to so we're going to have an open house in July and we're going to feature these cars.
Okay.
Okay. They'll always have that story. They'll always have the paperwork. These cars have never been registered.
Yeah.
So they'll, there are other cars in the world. I found out since I made the claim that this was the only car. There's a car in Europe that they're claiming has the MSO, manufacturer's statement of origin,
Yeah.
but the guy won't show it to anybody. So I don't know if he has it legitimately or not. Trying to devalue these cars, I'm not sure, but these cars have never been titled.
Fix it up. Like, what is the plan for it?
So they're going to go to a museum. We're going to make these cars look like new again, and then we're going to display them. Some of the things are going to stay the same. Like one of them's got has a rotting tire on it. We're going to leave the tire on the car as part of the provenance. We're discussing whether to leave one of the paint protection films damaged like this so people can see what it looked like.
It is kind of cool to think of like leaving some of it so that you can see like the story and the backstory behind this, because it is such a fascinating story. And if they're going into a museum, which is, I'm so glad to hear that. That's from the start. When I heard the story, I was like, these belong somewhere special. So that's really cool.
Hiring somebody that will sit here for a week and a half with a steamer and pick this stuff comes off the size of pennies. It is impossible. You take a plastic razor blade, it'll take a full 8 hours to pull this panel. Look, just watch. Let me just, I've gotten a little bit off the top, but I haven't gotten to the glue.
That's crazy.
So without steam, you're not going to get this off.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing the guy in Arizona did that was kind of foolish, was he pressure washed these cars, which with corrosive materials, and now there's things that are corroding. And he pressure washed the paint off the front bumper of one of them because he didn't know what he was doing. That's the difference between taking it to a shop who thinks he knows what they're doing and a shop who's done it for 35 years. Is I know the right process to get this stuff off, and it's not with pressure washer. The pressure washer, you don't take a $100,000 car and pressure wash it. Well, what kind of fool does that? But
Wow. That's crazy. I still can't like believe, like, I don't know. It's like crazy to think this is like right here.
very strict protocols when it comes to safety and the high voltage batteries. I mean, there's 400 volts and 600 amps, right? It throw you across a room and you'd be dust by the time you got at the other side. I've had a couple guys come in here and they won't listen to me about the safety. Oh, they with the high voltage gloves, I was like, I'm sorry, you have to leave. I'm not going to, be calling the ambulance for you because you won't listen to the. I didn't touch anything. It's like I said, within this zone, these are the safety protocols within this zone, and then they don't want to listen because they think they know everything, and I just have to believe. What are they going to do when the car's in their shop? Burn it to the ground?
Yeah.
With 50, 60 Roadsters in it? I mean.
Okay, so let's talk about that. All right, we got to get into this a little bit. So, do Roadsters catch fire? Like, why do Roadsters have this, or Teslas, or electric cars have this, notion of them catching fires because of the batteries?
Statistically speaking, like 1% compared to gas cars, because they just don't have the the gasoline, the combustion, all the fuel lines, the fuel pump, all that stuff. You have lithium-ion batteries, and they only burn up on thermal runaway, right? And there has to be a short, and there's all these cars have safety protocols. Well, they won't burn up. The only way you're going to burn up one of these cars, a Roadster has never burned up without the help of a human. Okay, so the cars have been in these other shops. They have whatever safety protocols they avoided. They have shorted out, lithium-ion cells will short and become resistive, and resistance is heat, they thermal runaway, they burn up, right? And that burned up a shop twice with almost 100 of these cars. And that statistically has skewed the entire number of electric cars that have burned up. You have 100 cars that burned up at one shop with that insurance claim, which makes the insurance for these cars incredibly expensive. It also makes shop insurance incredibly difficult to get for an electric vehicle shop because, statistically speaking, electric vehicle shops burn up more than other shops because we have one shop that has, 50, 20, $10 million worth of claims against it. So that's the reason the number is skewed. I've never seen one of these cars burn, personally. They burn up in house fires. They burn up in, none of them have burned up in accidents that I'm aware of. These cars are, the safety protocols inside of this battery, if we had a battery out, I could show you. This battery is fused on the outside of more places. Every cell is fused. Every sheet, there are 11 sheets or modules inside the battery, those are fused. And then the battery itself is fused. So for this thing to short out and burn up, it's damn near impossible. You have to literally do it yourself.
I just feel like it's such a shame because now electric cars have this reputation. There's still a lot of people, all the time we get messages about this, about them being unsafe because they catch fire, where that's not the truth. It's not the reality of the situation.
Because Tesla Roadsters have specifically burned up on a larger scale than any other electric car, because not because they burned up because the cars were bad, because they burned up in one shot. So now there's an actual safety protocol for these cars to get on an airplane. That's what all of these fires have done on these cars. It has completely mangled the entire Roadster market. We can't even get the cars out of the country now because of these fires.
What a shame.
It is a shame. It's a shame.
I am, and cameraman, my husband back there, are the first two people to see these cars. Other than this is crazy. We're gonna see the other China Roadsters. So cool. Wow.
So what you're seeing here is the other two of the three, but there's the fourth car that they dismantled. They kept the chassis and the battery and the electronics, but they took the body apart. We have all the doors, the tires, everything are right here.
Why'd they take it apart?
We don't know, and we don't know. The guy who did this, snuck these into China, died. So this was all purchased from his wife. We don't know any of the backstory. Nobody does. Because I was the one buying these cars for this guy, and I didn't want to lie to the guy that was buying them. I dug and dug and dug. It took me 4 months to vet this situation. I'm the reason these cars left China and went to Dubai. Because we wouldn't buy them, not because there was a tariff. There was going to be a 100% tariff on these cars. So we made sure they went to Dubai, which is tariff-free, and we bought them out of Dubai.
Why is it this panel that seems to be the one that is...
Tesla only covered these certain areas for the charge port because they would drop the charge port.
Okay.
But they thought they should, well, if they did it on this side, they should do it on the other side. There was no rhyme or reason. And then they did the front bumpers.
And then that's what happens to PPF over...
Yeah, 12 years.
You can't turn them on and like all the battery components and things like that.
Everything's brand new. If we put battery sheets in this car, the car would start today. This car has 102 miles. That one has 98 miles on it, and the other one has 104. So these are all pre-delivery inspection miles signed up by Rob Graham. Rob Graham is the guy who pre-delivery inspected every car before it left Tesla. The log miles on these three cars are exactly the miles that he put on them. So they went from him, sold into a container to China, and never were seen again. These are brand new parts off of a brand new car.
I mean, the cars right now, like they look like they're in really good condition. These two. I mean, other than like the PPF type stuff, like...
Yeah, so this is what the pressure washing did. It dug into do you see the pressure washing?
Yeah.
Shh.
I mean, it looks like it is a brand
It is a brand new car, right?
It's a brand new car. Wow.
So yeah, and they all have this, feel that, they have this, that's the salt air, the goop that you would see from the ocean, right?
Yeah.
So there's all this stuff that you really can't, if you take it off, it's all part of the story is gone. But here's a question that nobody can answer. When these cars are locked into a shipping container, they're sealed, right? Those shipping containers float in the ocean because they're so well sealed, right? Okay. How did rodents get into the container to eat to the wiring harness on these cars and then back out? Because the containers are sealed. There's there's a mystery where these cars remove the container and then put back in. I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure. We were trying to figure that out.
Were the rodents already there first?
When we take this car apart, this one's got rat damage too. We take this car apart, we might find the dead rodent in the car. See how the carbon is yellow?
Like this, in this condition, is kind of cool. Like part of me is like, just keep them, don't do anything to them. Throw them in a museum, like let people see what they look like. So crazy.
But this car, I mean, look at this. I love it on the orange.
It does look nice.
It looks classy, looks rich.
It's so cool.
That looks like a sports car. We got two exact same color cars with different color interiors in them, right? Here's a cool story. So these cars didn't have keys. So I knew the guy. Tesla kept a key to every car. Every one of these Roadsters, they kept a key. I knew the guy that had found the keys when they were closing down Menlo Park, and I called him up and I said, hey, I looked for keys to 3 cars. He goes, the China cars? I said, yeah. And he goes, let me take a look. So I gave him the VIN numbers. A week later, I had a package in the mail with the original keys to these cars. So here's chargers, unopened chargers. I have never opened this trunk before. This ain't open. So this is the original documents. Every owner would have gotten the trunk of a car. You can take a look at those. This is I'm not going to open this, but this is a NEMA 1450 charger. So this plugs into a dryer outlet, and that's the original charger unopened. And in the corner over there, there's 3 other chargers. Well, back to this. This car was charged somewhere in Europe, and can you tell why? You guys have traveled.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the adapter.
So this car's traveled in Europe somewhere and was charged somewhere.
So then it makes you think at some point it was taken off the freight if it was charged somewhere,
right.
And then the rats got in.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? It's part of the story, right? So there's all these questions now that nobody has the answer to these questions. No one, because the guy's dead. So not only are you the first people to see these cars in storage.
You should bring one to X Takeover, the Tesla Takeover event. If they would let you bring one of these and have it on display there.
I could do it. And part of the reason they're not all together is what happened if I had a fire. God forbid. You know, we have cars in 3 different buildings. This is the bumper, front bumper. This is the rear bumper. There's the front bumper. Here's the fenders.
So are you gonna put this
seats
back together?
No, because we don't have the chassis. These parts will be displayed on stands next to a.
What happened to the car?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody even knows this car was sold in the group. I actually talked to the sales guy who sold these cars originally. This car wasn't part of the deal. This was a separate sale.
It's just so weird.
The 3 cars that are together were sold together. This car was sold separately. This is a VIN 1120. This is a VIN 1185. So this car was bought after these cars, and then they dismantled it.
But it was inside.
It was in the container.
But it was missing the chassis.
Yes, missing the chassis. There's chargers.
It's so weird. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would it have like? This is even almost more of a mystery than.
And then they got the original wheels and tires, original seats, never been sat in. They're all completely wrapped up. Here's this piece actually goes inside the door. I'll show you where this goes. This is the mud flap, inner fender mud flap. So all of these parts are incredibly valuable because they don't make them anymore.
So what is your theory on this?
My theory is they bought these 3 cars, and these were known. And I think that they've had to buy something else that was a little bit more secret. And then this car was dismantled for the reverse engineering. I think this car was completely dismantled. It was I think they were tracking these 3 cars, and these people knew it. And so the Chinese government was involved somehow with these 3. And then this car I think they dismantled this car for reverse engineering. Because everything you would need to reverse engineer is gone. Body panels and all the stuff you wouldn't care about if you're an engineer are here.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And now, like, China's doing pretty well with their electric cars.
The door to this car is at the other shop. I can show you. It's got the VIN number and everything on it. But there's just no chassis. And what's really strange is we actually have a red car, this exact color, that needs all these pieces. I can have these pieces for free.
Yeah. Because
the guy said I could have them. And to put another car together. But I think these parts displayed like they should be on the car, make a special like brackets and a stand for these pieces to have the car that was no chassis. I think it'd be cool.
It would be. So now we're getting into the secret stash where you keep the good stuff. What is all this?
This is a car that was burnt in Florida at a garage fire. These are all parts cars.
That is just like wild to see it in that condition.
This door is off of that white car. Elon, Franz, and a bunch of engineers. This is the only car that they signed. And I'm going to fix it. It's that white one. So we had this car for 2 years before we opened the door. We had no idea that these signatures were on here.
What's the significance of that car?
It was Franz's dad's car. He bought it for his dad.
And you just happened to have it in the shop?
It got totaled. No, it got totaled, and it got sold at an auction. And then we bought the car and didn't even know who owned it. We just bought it. And then 2 years later, we opened the door, and here's all these signatures. You want to take it with us? We can take it with us.
I want to take it with me. I'll put this like on my wall.
That car was a complete driving car when I got it. I just bought it for parts. But now that they're more valuable, that was a $15,000 car 8 years ago when I bought it. Now it's a $100,000 car, so I should put it back together.
And then you open it up and you find like the most valuable piece of history that there is.
This car has to be put back together. It's the only one with this door, right? So it has to be put back together. Don't you think?
I mean, absolutely. I feel like you need a museum.
I have a lot of rare stuff here.
This is crazy. This
car was on a TV show as one of those chop cut rebuild shows, and they mangled the car, make it into a show car, and then we bought it.
Carl, how many Roadsters have ever existed?
There were 2,450 Roadsters made. We figure there was about 1,200 in the U.S. We figure there are about 900 left. And the last car, VIN 1472, is in Texas. And then there's VIN 25. The last car sold in the United States is VIN 1472. It's a blue car belonging to a guy named Thomas West. And then there's the car that's never been driven. It's VIN 2500 that's in Europe. That car's never been sold.
How many have you interacted with out of all these?
Probably about 400 of them. Probably a third.
And the funny thing is, he will remember every single VIN number and the owner's name and all the details of every single one of them.
Have you ever heard somebody talk about VIN? I own VIN such and such. I started that. And the reason I did was because what I told you earlier about remembering people's names. James Whitaker even talked in that video that was in 2019. He goes, everybody would come in, he goes, exactly who we were, what our VIN number was, what our name was, and how many miles were on his car. It's just something I started when I was young and working on a career. I always like to make people think, not only did I remember your name, but didn't I see your car about 31,000 miles last time? Well, yeah, how'd you remember? I just started remembering those details, and you know what? That's how I built my customer base, by recognizing the people who own the cars.
But that's a skill. In addition to that, like wanting to know it and then being able to actually do it.
You could walk over and stand in that car.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
There it is.
Kim, don't put your weight on.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, I'm not gonna let you die. There's no insurance down here anyway, so.
Oh my gosh.
Keep
Oh
going.
my god.
Keep
Okay.
going. Now just step on the fender. Oh, right there. Now you're
Right
good.
here.
You're
Okay.
golden.
So the fire was not because of the car being.
No,
like,
that was the garage. Yeah, they got the fire. They got the fire out, and the car was just burnt on the top. You can put a foot on here. If you climb
Oh, yeah,
rocks.
Kim, don't put your weight on there.
I'm good.
There it is. Car's still plugged in. I guess it's not charging. I like these cars. I like how they've changed the world. It was the first electric car that actually made an impact. It was. If it wasn't for this car, I mean, the historical significance of this car is you can't be denied. I mean, this isn't a Fiat. It's not a Mercedes. If it wasn't for Elon, Tesla, the electric cars wouldn't exist. I don't think, because he pushed it. He pushed and pushed and pushed.
It's so true. I mean, it's why we started our channel too. Was all because of this and what we believed in the mission, and why I'm so passionate about electric cars in general. So to be here, see all this, it just like gives me chills today. Thanks for watching, and if you've watched this far, you'll enjoy the upcoming deleted scenes. And if you're a Patreon member, you're also getting an additional 30 minutes of never before seen content headed your way. As always, Patreon members make these videos possible and get exclusive early release to content, on-air shoutouts, and so much more. We'll catch you next time.
And then the rest of the interior used to sound like that, kind of tinny, and so we did sound deadening to the whole inside of the quarter panel and the doors.
What about the stories about like how his brain works, where he'll just all of a sudden be able to just like know all about like a certain detail, and you're like, wait, how do you even know that?
I was in a meeting with him once, and I don't know why I ended up at this meeting, because I was like so far underqualified to be there. Software and stuff they were building, and they were asking. He didn't know anything about this project, and he sat in this meeting, and he basically within 5 minutes he was asking questions they couldn't answer. He not only did he understood the project, but he understood exactly what they're doing and the pitfalls of what they were doing. He asked some very serious questions that they did not have the answers for, and I was like, I'm leaving. And that was one of those meetings when he said, if you don't have anything to input of value, please just leave. There's no harm, no foul. Go do your job. So I got up and left, and you know what? He got up and left with me. So then I felt really uncomfortable, like, oh great, I'm gonna lose my job. But he sat and talked to me for about 10 minutes outside the door of that meeting, and thanked me for getting up and leaving. You know, you didn't have any input. So
I mean, they've gotten rid of a lot of the employees.
I think that's a failing strategy. Actually, that started when I worked there, getting rid of the bottom 10%. And I understand getting rid of the drama, getting rid of the underperformers, getting rid of all that. But sometimes they get rid of people just because they've been there a long time. That's what it looks like. And I think that's a failed strategy, because you're getting rid of all that expertise.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the big people have recently departed, so it's been interesting.
Those people I think are irrelevant. I think they're just hired guns. They're figureheads. I don't really think that anybody at Tesla that's really high up now. There's no strategist there. Elon's the he's the game player. He's the chess master. He's calling all the moves. So these figureheads that are in place, they don't do anything. The design guys, the production guys, the engineers, absolutely, those guys are valuable. I think by terminating anybody in service, unless they absolutely need to be terminated for a good reason, is a foolish move. I mean, just the overflow that we get from the local Seattle stores, Tesla stuff, I could start 5 more of these shops just from local business. I know we're a small piece of the pie, right? But the phone calls we get about Tesla service, I've never had a good one.
Yeah.
I've never had a good phone call, but you know, that's people are calling.
We get lots of emails too. We still get lots of emails, and people think that like I have some power, and I'm like, no, I'm just, you know, I make videos and I try to find interesting people that can tell a story, and you know.
I took my brand new Model Y in because it had a bad wheel bearing. Brand new car, had like 18 miles on it, right? And I could hear the thunk, 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 thunk in the wheel bearing. They told me they couldn't verify it. So I called the service guy out on it. I said, hey, you drove this, huh? And he goes, yeah. I said, okay, so how far did you drive it? Because he didn't want to lie to me, right? And I said,
Yeah.
well, I'm just going to save you from lying. I said, the miles are exactly the same temp as when I dropped it off. He goes, that car didn't even go out of the building. So then, that was over the phone. So
Yeah.
then when I go to pick up my car is 2 blocks down the street from the 6th Avenue Service Center, 2 blocks in an 18-inch deep water puddle. I had to walk through that much water to get in my car. And they did it on purpose. So it's like, okay.
Well, at least you even got to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that. That's a whole. You started so early with Tesla. Did you get really good stock options?
Yeah, I lost them all in divorce. I had 40,000 shares.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Never sold at $38 a share. But people ask me what it was like to lose all that money. Well, I never had it in the first place, so I really never
Yeah.
knew. It was just paper. It was paper money at the time, you know, and it wasn't even. And back then, it wasn't even that valuable, right? It was 38 bucks a share. Now, I'd be pissed off, but that's a whole new time. Before I started Tesla, I never went a dinner, not one dinner without eating a meal with my kids, not one, right?
Yeah.
Because we always had family time. Dinner was at 5 or 6 o'clock, period. Sundays we had soups or whatever. We had this whole thing. We had these traditions that we did. And I went to work at Tesla. I never saw my family again. So basically, you know, we at Tesla, I was served divorce papers, and 9 other people were served divorce papers the same day I was. So we coined a phrase. Check this out. Tesla. Terminating every single love affair.
Aww. You really like dedicated your life though.
It was fun. You know,
Yeah.
You get to go home to, you know, somebody's hating on you and wanting to divorce you, or you stay with your Tesla family, which we're having a great time.
Yeah.
You know, I know we say we work 100 hours a week, and that sounds exhausting, but it wasn't. You know, all you just got to do is look over and see that guy that's right beside you after a 15, 16, 18-hour day, and he's right there with you, and you're like, get another Red Bull or whatever,
Yeah,
you know.
that's like your family. After
There's no amount of energy that can describe what it was like. There's no way to describe what it was like early on in Tesla at all. It was just too fun. You know, I met some great people. If you look at the people they hired in the beginning, we were the best of the best of the best. I mean, you couldn't go, no matter where you went, sales, service, parts, wherever.
Yeah.
They had such a stringent and a strict interview process that if you weren't one of the best, you're gone.
Yeah.
You're gone. Technicians, all of them. Every single technician that I worked with was top notch.